All right, so imagine rolling out of bed one morning, waddle to the bathroom, you look in the mirror, and you see the man that you have told yourself that you are. In the same look, you see the pregnant man that you are. So for me, there was a huge disconnect. I was a man, but I was pregnant. So my mind and body didn't agree with one another. My body was very feminine. I went through changes. Of course, everybody when they're pregnant goes through changes. There's, body changes, emotional changes, different things like that. We're going to fast forward to when we decided that we were pregnant with Kai, or we found out we were pregnant with Kai. So we came home from a bar one night. I don't know if anybody likes ramen after they've been drinking, but Bianca and I love ramen. So we attempted to make the ramen. It was not successful. We found that out the next morning when we saw the pot with the water on the stove. A month later, we found out we were pregnant with Kai. PAX has a similar story. It seems like when we create babies, it involves a bar and a lot of drinking. So a lot of people in the LGB community come out once, and it's a difficult thing. I came out twice. I came out first as a lesbian when I was 17. My family did not take that so well. I had very little contact with my parents, my sisters, and I did not speak at all. It was a difficult time. And we slowly mended that relationship. And then I met Bianca. Bianca and I met in a bar, which seems to be what our life kind of revolves around. We met in a bar. She was performing at a local bar in Atlanta, and a bartender friend of ours asked if I would be interested in dating a trans woman. At that time, it was the beginning of Nick. I hadn't told anybody really. My family definitely didn't know. The bartender did, because she knew everything about my life because I sat there 6 nights a week. So I met Bianca, and she introduced herself. And I looked at her and I said, I know who you are. So the fact that Bianca stayed with me after I told her that, which in hindsight is kind of off-putting, I guess. I mean, I was kind of rude. But we'll fast forward another night at the bar. Bianca and I were driving home. We had been together for I'm not sure how many months at that point, but I asked her, do you want to have a family? Because at that point, Bianca was starting the early stages to have gender reassignment surgery, bottom surgery, so the idea of a family would disappear if she went through that. Me, myself, I never wanted to physically have kids. It was nothing that I ever wanted to do. My family knew that. But knowing Bianca and knowing that we could do this together changed my mind. So I asked her, and she said yes. Now, before she said yes, I went through my whole spiel of every other option that we possibly had and why all those other options weren't really an option. So surrogacy, adoption, who would let Bianca and I adopt anybody? A child? Surrogacy, ridiculously expensive. You have to find somebody. Emotional roller coasters with that. So she said yes. And from there on, we decided to try and have a family. So then the ramen incident, right? We tried. Trust me, we tried a lot. But when you stop trying is when you actually create a baby, in case anybody was wondering. So being pregnant for me was absolutely horrible. I'm pretty honest about that. It was the darkest nearly 20 months of my life. I was depressed. I didn't want to leave the house. When I did leave the house, people would stare. People would talk, but they would talk just loud enough so I could hear. I never went to the doctor alone, even though my doctor knew. But the 20 other women sitting in the doctor's office had no idea. The hospital was very much aware of Bianca and I. And even with that, when we had Kai, the hospital tried to give us grief about his birth certificate. So at that point, my name was not changed. I was not legally Nick Bowser. Later that year, I did change my name. So the hospital didn't want to put 2 female names on a birth certificate. I'm from Atlanta, so males are regularly called Ashley. I don't know if anybody knows that, but that's normally a female name, and that was my argument. So we got some lawyers involved, and we had a little fight with the hospital, and needless to say, they lost. My name, my name and her name were put on the birth certificate, and then later we changed it. It was a pretty easy process. But now our main concern is our children. So we are very open and honest about our relationship, us being pregnant. Our kids are 5 and 3, so they're not exactly at the age where they're asking where babies come from. I'm glad about that because I'm not ready. But we've based our entire relationship on honesty. And we believe that basing our relationship with our kids with honesty is what, in the end, will keep us together. So there will come a time that we will tell Kai and Pax that Daddy is the one who had them. In what way are we going to tell them? Have no idea. When we get to that point in our relationship, we'll decide the best way to tell them. But I believe it will only make our family stronger. I believe our children will be able to trust us and know that we were honest with them and we are able to answer any questions that they might have. You know, stories normally have an ending. This one does not. I'm still living this story, and hopefully I'll be living this story for many, many years to come with Bianca, Kai, and Pax. But something that being pregnant has taught me is that if I can get through those 20 months, I can get through anything. Because it was so difficult. There is nothing that I feel could be more difficult for myself or for my relationship, because I know I put Bianca through hell for 20 months, trust me. And I think that has made me a stronger person. And we tell our story so people know. I'll answer any question that somebody has. I've answered numerous questions before. There's no question that I haven't answered. I'm pretty positive about that. And we also tell our story for people that are like us as well. Because I don't want another trans guy who wants to have a baby to feel like he can't. So I want to empower the trans community and also people that might not be trans but have families that might not be typical. I think it's important. And that's my story. I appreciate it.